Hello, couch potatoes, and welcome to another episode on the Sofa with me, your girl Lil Sonya. And today we have a very special guest live all the way from the UK. Now, tell me if I'm pronouncing your name right. Is it Ishea? Ishay?
It's Aisha.
Aisha. I
Yeah,
didn't even get it right either time. Aisha. Aisha Muhammad, our
yeah.
very own life coach, sitting on the sofa with us today. Welcome, Aisha.
Oh, hi, Sonia. Thank you so much for having me today.
And thank you for being a guest. Now, Aisha, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to check out any of the episodes, but I like to ask my guests while they're on the sofa to give me a number that's no greater than your current age.
Ooh, 56. Did you say no greater or
No
greater?
greater than your current
Oh,
age.
okay. No greater, then let's take that to 36.
36. And you're beautiful for 56, by the way. You're wearing
No,
it
I'm
well,
not. I'm
honey.
not.
Oh, okay. I was going to
I'm
say.
not 36 either.
Okay. So it can't be no greater. It can be greater than your current age.
They're my current age, but it can be less.
It has to be less. It has to be either your current age or less. It can't be greater than your current age.
I'll stick with 36 then and leave
Okay.
people guessing.
Okay. So tell me how 36-year-old Aisha ties into the Aisha sitting on the sofa with us today.
um, she is youthful and energetic.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, Aisha, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I am Ishea Muhammad. I am a life coach and I deal with women who have been through a breakup or a divorce. And I basically help them to heal, to self explore, and rebuild their life. And I believe that this ties into my life purpose. I'm also a mother of three very boisterous children that keep me on my toes. I like beauty. I like to beautify things. I like gardening, starting to learn how to grow my own food,
Nice.
music, just being expressive and intuitive.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. So, tell me what brought you into the life coaching world? What led you here?
Basically, I thought, that I wanted to do something different because I have a background in IT and also in working out in the community with different groups, some of them vulnerable, some of them young people. And I just thought about the kind of person that I am, the things that come naturally. And since I was young, I have always been somebody to kind of advise, to encourage, to give a perspective on something. And so I said, well, life coaching, as I have had some life experience, would enable me to do that quite effortlessly.
Yes. Yes. So, did you go to school for anything? Did you educate to be in this field purposely, or is it all natural?
No, it's half and half. I'm
Okay.
certified, so I've got my certificate in life coaching, but life experience
Yeah.
really is one of the key things that help you to connect with people and understand people through your life experiences. Should you have some degree of self awareness and have done some healing yourself, then yeah, that's all you need.
Can you share with us some of your journey, your life experiences that led you to down this journey and to this point?
Most definitely, I can do. I will say that, akin to the fact that I was a person that always liked to advise and encourage, I grew up in a single parent household with just my mom. So I didn't have a male figure. And so I think that I went on a search to understand and support males. Yeah,
Mm.
men, black men. So I had friendships, I had relationships whereby I always was kind of wanting to raise up and encourage,
Yeah.
and pour into. But I didn't have certain skills. I didn't have a certain understanding. I didn't have a certain level of self-esteem, probably due to not growing up and having a male figure in my life. And therefore, there were some mistakes that was made. There were some things that happened whereby I just found that I was giving a lot and
Mm.
not getting what I needed in return, probably because I didn't know how to ask for it. I didn't have boundaries. I didn't have,
Mm.
standards. I also kind of fell for society's projection of what a relationship is supposed to be like by way of romance and, all the things that were kind of fed. And then I was married. I got married, and my choosing was really out of a place of trauma. Um, and therefore, it didn't work, and I ended up a divorcee. And I just learned a lot in doing the healing and a lot of introspection where I'd made some mistakes, the education that I did not have, which led me to make those mistakes, and just learned to forgive myself, and understand myself more. So that was kind of like the journey, recognizing that there were some gaps that I needed to fill.
Yeah. And it's amazing that you were able to recognize that, because it's a lot of us that are not able to recognize that and are stuck and stagnant in
Yeah,
unhealthy relationships, be it with a intimate partner or family.
yeah,
S-
yeah.
How did you begin your healing journey?
I began my healing journey when I found myself in a space of vulnerability.
Mm.
Some of us are protected, meaning we'll go through life and we'll have some ups and downs and some trials, and we always land on our feet. We
Mhm.
figure it out. We keep going. We set goals and we achieve them relatively easily. But when I found myself having to leave my marriage and chart into the unknown, I
Mm.
was vulnerable. I did not have the certainty. I was facing some things that I had never had to face before. And I had to fall on my knees, and I had to pray with the utmost sincerity, and I had to bawl my eyes out, and I had to trust, because I was in a place that I had never been in before, and I just didn't have a clue.
So
So
unfamiliar.
I don't know if you've ever seen a fish out of water. You take the fish out of water and it starts gasping like
Yeah.
the air. And it was literally like that. And I had to let go and let God. I had to trust. I had to align myself on a deeper level with him to know that I'm not in control. Only so far. I have to relinquish that, and I have to trust. And I
Yes.
have to do I have to do the work. I had to learn what it was like to be vulnerable, and sit in that space of vulnerability. And I think that was the key for me being able to open up to myself, to look in. How did you find yourself here? What happened? And unravel that and piece it together, hence the rebuilding.
Yeah. That's the ugly part. That's
Yeah,
the ugly part that
yeah.
people they don't want to experience, but it's so necessary.
It
It's
really
so
is, because
necessary.
something has to change,
Yes.
because we are the common denominator in all of our relationships. There comes a point where I think God will lead you to pump your brakes.
Absolutely.
And that is basically what happens, especially a lot of strong black women, whereby regardless of what comes, we're going to keep on going. We're going to power through. We're still going to be competent. We're still going to deliver. We got 10 children. We're still going for it. We can
Because
do
we
it,
have
right?
no other choice.
Right. But within that journey, we will have certain behavior patterns that are self-sabotaging,
Yeah.
certain beliefs that we hold that no longer serve us. And when we keep going, not listening to our bodies a lot of the time, not trusting in our
Mm,
intuition a lot of the time, we are damaging ourselves, you
yeah.
know. And so many of us now are getting to our 40s, our 50s, and having these autoimmune diseases, suffering with lupus and fibromyalgia, and having breakdowns or having mental health conditions or being
Yeah.
obese, and all of these things is because of these times where we've pushed ourselves without listening to our bodies, when it
Yeah.
comes to the physical, when it comes to the psychological, when it comes to the emotional, and just kind of like becoming detached and Miss Teflon, as I call her, whereby it's like nothing can penetrate. It has, but we're just ignoring it
And
until that life event
it's just
comes.
eating at our bodies.
Yeah, until that life event comes that will cause you to pump your brakes and do things differently. Because we can be so much more loving in how we
Yeah.
deal with ourselves. We tend
So
to be very
true.
harsh on ourselves.
So
And that's
true.
why we project harshness on others. Okay, you black woman, you got attitude, you're tough, you're hard, you speak, tough to people, you know, and it's a coping mechanism, you know.
Yeah.
But when you learn to be vulnerable, when you learn to deal with yourself, be forgiving, kind to yourself, accept yourself, root up what needs to be uprooted and look at it and do something about it, then that's when the transformation happens. That's when the self love comes in.
That
And that's
sounds
when you
so
get to that
beautiful.
magical place where you can still
Yeah.
be a go-getter and do what you have to do in life, but you're listening to yourself. You are in tune with yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And that is so awesome because it helps you to be present. How many
Yeah.
people have children? They just make sure that they're fed, they make sure they go to school, they make sure they do certain things, but they are not really present with their children. It's just
That
a
is so
routine
true.
from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, but you're not really there.
So true. And it's unfortunate because that's how generational curses develop and they just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, yeah. One has to stand. One has to say
Absolutely.
no more. One has to take
Absolutely.
up that responsibility to say, I'm actually going to change the trajectory. And I've recently started to look into my family tree.
Okay.
And this is what I say, and I want everyone to kind of follow with this and apply this to themselves if they're not already. But imagine down the wheel of time, you have someone in your family decide that they want to trace their ancestry. And as they're doing this, they come across you, they come across your branch. What do you want them to know? What do you want them to see? How inspired do you want them to be? And how do you, even though you're not here in the physical, want to pour into their mind and their very being?
Those are very,
Think
very,
about it.
very good questions.
Think about it.
I would want my grandchildren, my great grandchildren, and all of those to follow me to see nothing but black excellence.
Right.
Nothing but black excellence. And so excellent to the point where they know that they can be that and beyond.
Hmm.
I wouldn't want them to see anything negative. I've been following my family tree too, and I'm at a standstill because it's like we just disappeared. Like,
Hmm.
what happened? What happened? So, yeah, those are very, very good questions. And
Yeah.
not too many people think of those questions or, wow, you just opened my mind up. You just put me down a whole nother rabbit hole with that. Yeah, that's deep and very, very interesting.
Yes.
I have to ask my children that after this is over.
Okay.
I have to
Cool.
ask them the same thing because they're adults, so they should be able to give me adult answers.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. That's great feedback because, we're here for a purpose, whether we know it, accept it, or
Absolutely.
not. So,
Absolutely. And we struggle throughout this life trying to find that purpose when it's really right in front of our faces. We ignore it because we have obligations.
mm,
We have bills to pay. We have kids to feed, car notes and insurance and everything else that life throws at us to take our paychecks.
hmm
And we forget about us and what makes us happy. And what makes us happy is our purpose.
most definitely. Most definitely. And it's something that we have to take more seriously because a lot of this other stuff, as real as they seem, they're a bit of an illusion because it just keeps you tied
Absolutely.
up in whatever your current circumstances, and therefore you don't put enough energy or enough vision into your future so that you
Mhm.
can walk into it. You're just trapped in the present, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And we have to free ourselves. And I think in being mothers, we have a huge job. We are shaping and fashioning
Yes. Yes.
the future of our survival, the future of the human race. You know what I mean? The planet, humanity. So you got to be on that job. Like that has to be
Absolutely.
highly prioritized.
Ah, what happened? You
Yeah.
back?
Yes, I'm back. Yeah. It's not about what you can just leave to them in the physical form or by way of wealth as we see it, but the other side of wealth in regards to your mindset.
Mm,
At the end of the day, the world can totally fall. Everything that we know and how it's currently operating can totally go left. It can
so
totally
true.
change. But the mindset that you instill in your children,
Yeah.
that can't be taken. That's something that we would hope they would utilize under, any kind of situation to be able to find solutions and make a way for themselves.
Because we saw that with COVID-19
Mm,
when the world shut down. That was
right.
a major change for everybody,
It sure
for
was.
everyone, even the homeless,
Hmm
because they weren't allowed to be where they lay, and that's on the streets. It was horrible.
Yeah. And many people would never have believed in their lifetime that they would have lived to see
Mm-mm,
such a thing.
mm-mm, not at all. Not at all. But I see you found your purpose, and that makes me smile because after your journey and what you went through and then all of your healing, you still found time to reach out to other people and be of service. What made you not give up? Just say, "I've healed. I'm going to go on with my life, I'm taking a new turn and just forget everybody." What made you say, "No, I wanna help somebody"?
Because throughout my journey, some of the most unlikely people were there for me.
Mm,
And that just showed me that Allah God was with me because He sent me what I needed.
yeah.
And even though I was in a position to need help, I could still be a help to others because sometimes in our life there are gaps. Sometimes we might feel isolated, we might move to a new area, not know many people. When you desire something and you know what it feels to need that thing, you are the very same person to provide that thing to others. It's only when you do it that it really makes sense, when you do it, it feeds back into you. So
Yes.
it might be a mother and baby group, that you would start somewhere because you feel as a mom, you need that kind of service for, yourself and your young toddler children. But you start it and the people come and the community builds, and then you're able to have the very same community that you needed as a means of support because you pour into them and they pour back into you. So we are never alone and we are never helpless. We can help ourselves, and God helps those who indeed help themselves.
Yes.
So um, it's a spiritual thing and it's a universal law. And you just have to tap into it, just avail yourself, and you will be rewarded for that. We're not alone. As much as we say we're an individual, I've done this by myself or that by myself, somebody would have poured into you along the way. It might be a smile, it might be a good deed, it might be an encouraging word when you really needed it. But
Yes.
we all need each other. And because I believe in that, that's why it comes naturally to
Hmm.
still serve others, even when going through my own hardships.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly on that because when I go outside my doors, I want to give whoever I'm coming in contact with a big smile and a hello because you never know what somebody's going through.
Never.
Like you said, that smile could have changed the whole day for them.
Yeah.
Could have changed their whole day.
Yeah. Acts of kindness
Yes,
cost
and people
nothing.
aren't used to acts of kindness, and it's so sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad to think that some people think that because you're being kind, you want something,
Mm,
and not because it's just natural. That's the way you're supposed to be.
exactly. Yeah. And it can turn somebody around by being on the receiving end of that act of kindness. It can instill so much hope. It's a form of healing.
Yes.
And yeah, that's what we need to do. We are natural healers, especially as women.
Yes.
We are healers, and it's just to come back into being more of ourselves because we've lost touch with who we
Yes.
really are and our divinity, our powers, if you like, as women, because we have had this unnatural way of being in even having these single households, and having or feeling or having as a coping mechanism that we have to be more masculine in
Yes.
order to get through life, in order to be in the boardroom, in order to be taken seriously. But there's real power in being your feminine self by nature.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And once we as women realize that, there's no stopping us.
No, no,
There's no
not at
stopping
all.
us.
Yeah.
So share with us some of your accolades.
Accolades. I wouldn't know where to start with that. I mean, it's not something that I pay too much attention to be honest.
I love your
Um,
humbleness.
I don't even know if it's that or not, but we live in a superficial kind of world
Yeah.
where people say every and anything. The people that I connect with and that truly appreciate me will say whatever it is that they want to say, and I will accept that. But I don't keep a list. It's not something that I would say, to another.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the things that you're working on now, geared towards your purpose?
Okay. Towards my purpose, what I'm working on is tapping into a gift that I have from when I was very young. And it's along the lines of being a seer.
Yeah.
I've had
I
visions and
see
such
you,
like.
and I knew that because I have the same gift. I see you,
Right,
and I knew that. I can feel your energy.
right. And when I was young, it came effortlessly, and I didn't really understand seeing things in advance, let's say, and then walking into them. But this is something that has happened repeatedly throughout. And even people that used to look after me in the summer holidays when my mom was working, they remembered that about me.
Hmm.
And in going through the healing process, there's different parts of ourselves that become reawakened.
Hmm.
And I am just wanting to work harder at being still
Yes.
and tapping into myself. Because the truth is that when I do those practices on a consistent basis, it it's overwhelming.
Hmm.
It's overwhelming. So I have to confront the overwhelm that I experience when I go there in order to keep going forward so that I can get back to where I was or even go even further with that ability. So that's one of the key things that I'm actually working on personally myself.
Beautiful. I love that for you. Keep
Thank you.
going. Keep
Yes.
going at it. It is so hard. That's one of the hardest things to do. Is being in this human avatar is being still.
Hmm.
It's so hard because the brain is going a mile a minute.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing to shut down is the brain.
Yeah.
And once
Yeah.
you master that, it's over with. You come
Most
full
definitely.
into your power.
Yep.
I was meditating all night long, and since the eclipse has happened, I've been very fatigued, like tired, and
Hmm.
my body is calling me to rest because I'm being of service to everyone but myself, which is
Hmm.
what you initially were talking about.
Yep.
So this is the universe speaking to me through you today because I do require some rest, like not just physically but spiritually.
Yeah. Even with social media and the amount of screen time that we have and
Mhm.
the media on a whole, the news, stress, so much things is just there to divert our attention away from ourselves. So it has to be so intentional to put attention in on yourself. To do the necessary work that needs to be done. And this is why I like to help others do that after a breakup or after a divorce instead of jumping into something else. No, come here, come here, come here, come here. Let's look into this. Let's see what's going on. Let's prevent another disaster. Okay. Um, so yeah, it's so important that we tap in.
What some other advice would you give to men and women alike, both struggling within a relationship, either to mend it or get out of it?
Okay. I would say that you have to look at your core values. You have to look at what you stand for. Core values I used to hear people talk about, especially in training sessions, like, in the workforce and stuff. It never really penetrated my mind until I started to do this healing work. Once you know what matters to you, whether it's honesty, if you really can't stand it when people tell you lies and it makes you feel unsafe, then honesty linked to integrity, that's a core value to be around you. That's what you need. If not, it's not going to work. Okay. um you'd have your list of core values such as that. It could even be adventure. You like to do adventurous things, you like to take risks, and that's a part of who you are. So once you have these things lined up, anyone that you're with, they kind of have to meet that criteria in order
Mhm.
for you and them to be in alignment. And when you find that that's not the case, that's when you have issues. And this is when boundaries come in. And this is where you have some hard decisions to make. Because if you're somebody who has the core value of needing honesty and you're with somebody that's lying to you all the time, that's not something that can be fixed unless they can fix their lying. It's out of alignment. You're not gonna feel safe. You're always gonna be second guessing. You're always gonna be
Mhm.
on edge. And you have to ask yourself the question, does this behavior pattern from the person that I'm with, does it serve me? Is it loving and kind for me to stay in a relationship like this, whereby it's causing me to be in fight or flight mode?
Mhm.
This is where the self love comes in. Many times as women, we are very scared, even men too, in letting go, in
Yeah.
knowing when something has come to an end. And that's why the courtship process or the dating process is just so important. Because who wants to have to be starting over and over again? Who wants to have this long list of people that you've been with? So if we take it back to the beginning, that process there, that vetting process, that taking this person to, a verbal and investigative court situation is going to help you to be able to make a better decision. But then what feeds into you making a better decision? How much you know yourself,
Hmm.
how much you value yourself. And that's why the healing aspect, the self exploration aspect is so very important, because you got to know where you are, who you are, what you want, what is
Yeah.
going to align with you. To then, when you get into the courtship or the dating arena, to be able to know what you're looking for in order to be more successful the next time round, so that you're not in a position with a liar and you know that honesty is something that's important to you, or you're not with a narcissist, which is something that so many people are experiencing, but
Oh
also
yeah.
kind of misusing the term, okay? Because that is a very specific thing, that kind of behavior. But it will help you when you learn more about yourself, when you've done some healing, to be able to know that if you're with this person in a relationship and it's not running right, because this is how they're behaving and this is how it's making you feel, and there's no sign of improvement, it's time to step.
I hear you. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. What advice do you have for women that are that feel they are, because they're not stuck, but feel they are stuck in a domestic violent relationship, women or men, because there are some men that are in those type of relationships as well. What advice do you have for them? Because I've been there, and I was strong enough to dig myself out and go, you know. Took me a little while, but I because I was in my vulnerable period,
Mhm.
but I got myself out, and I just want to know, what type of advice do you have professionally for those brothers and sisters that are feeling that they are stuck right now and can't get out?
Well, if you really are in an abusive relationship, the statistics show that if you leave, that you're actually at greater risk. Okay.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean that you stay, but what it does mean is that you have an exit plan and that you seek help in putting together the exit plan. If it's financial abuse and you don't have any money, then that's something that you're going to have to problem solve. Any money that you do get, you're going to have to try and build it up. Or if there's a trusted person that you can reach out to for help, then you're going to need to do that. But it's something that you have to be very careful about. But you can reach out to organizations such as Women's Aid, the National um, Domestic Violence Helpline, that can help and aid you. Also online, if you go incognito online, you can actually put together your escape plan so that you can leave and find yourself in a safe house or somewhere, sometimes far away, where you can actually be safe. You have to make an exit plan.
Yeah.
You have to
And
first you have to first start in your mind and get to a place where you firmly know that you have to go.
I think it's really important that um you reiterate to our viewers that after that exit plan and after that safe plan, the process of healing needs to begin for themselves. And like you said, not jumping back into another disaster because it
No.
happens. And I've seen it happen repeatedly.
Yeah, yeah. And there are statistics that, show in the domestic abuse realm that women tend to go back
Hmm.
so many times before they actually completely break away. So that's why you have to get to a stage in your mental and emotional that you're
Yeah.
gone. It's said many times that, you know, a woman, she's there physically, but she left you in the mind a long time ago. So,
So true.
yeah, so you have to prep your mind and be very clear that this is something that you have to do and know the reasons why. You know, you have to know the reason why. One, if it's violent, because abuse doesn't necessarily mean violence. It can be psychologically, it can be financially, it can be emotionally, it can be spiritually. And these things are
Yeah.
very harmful, although they don't leave a physical mark, you
Yeah.
know? And if it does include physical violence, then you know that one day that person may kill you.
Yep.
And you have other reasons why people sometimes stay, because maybe there's immigration issues, language barriers, a myriad of things. But that person, in their own mind, into the core of their body, needs to know and be sure that it's their time to go. And when you get to that point, you make your exit plan and you do what you have to do in order to leave as safely as you can.
Thank you for that bit of advice. And I hope that helps somebody that's listening or watching. Uh, what do you have coming up? Any special projects? Any books coming out?
I've been saying for the longest time that I'm going to write a book, and I will, and it
You
will be out this
should.
year. But I do have some workbooks that I'm working on. My latest one is to do with confidence, achieve self confidence. It's time to be confident, and that's a workbook that you could currently purchase. And I am also doing my one-to-one coaching, which is something that I do all the time. I love it. And I also have a wait list for group coaching. This is for women for the
Oh,
group coaching, but I do one-to-one for men and women as well.
okay.
Yeah.
And are you taking people from all over the world, or are you just catered towards the UK, or people in the United States can reach out to you and get some of your
Most
good advice?
definitely. Yeah, global baby. Universal. Universal. Most definitely. Universal. Yeah. I
Okay,
I
so
love it. Yeah.
tell them where they can find you and where they can reach out to you.
Okay, you can reach out to me at Personal Growth Elevation on Instagram, Personal Growth Elevation also on YouTube. My name, as you see on the screen, Ishea Muhammad, over on Facebook, which is largely where I reside online. And also, I'm on LinkedIn. I also have a bio site as well, which you can check the link for, and that will show you my services and what's currently going on.
All right. And for those of you just tuning in or who'll be tuning in a little later to catch it, I will have all of those links up and going when we do the repeat of the show next week. Thank you, Aisha. It has been a pleasure. You have been so informative today. I am so glad and so honored that you chose to come and sit on the sofa with me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been awesome.
And
It's
I
been
hope that
lovely.
you come back.
Yeah, invite me. Most definitely.
Yes,
I'd love
yes. I
that.
hope that you come back because I think that a lot of information you shared today was very, very valuable. Very, 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 very valuable. And people needed to hear it and know it. And I hope they receive it and use it.
Yes, me too. Use the information.
Yes, please use the information and love on yourselves because at the end of the day, there's nobody in this world that's going to love you like you love you.
Exactly.
Make time for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We gotta go. It's been a pleasure. Thank you again, Miss Aisha Muhammad, all the way from the UK.
Thank you so much for having me. Till
Yes,
next
all
time.
right, couch potatoes. It's been real. I got shit to do. Bye bye.
Bye.